Aloha, and welcome back to the Kupuna Connections television series. I am Cullen Hayashida, the co-host for the program, and each week we bring you a variety of topics having to do with elder care and elder issues and tips and suggestions as far as how to help our Kupuna in the community. With me, I'll ask my co-host to introduce herself, and then we'll have our guest for the day introduce herself as well.
My name's Toni Hathaway, and I'm the education coordinator with the Kupuna Education Center at Kapi'olani Community College.
Brenda?
I'm Brenda Lau, and I am a program specialist with the Sage Plus Medicare Counseling Program.
Okay, and let's see, perhaps we can start off, as we mentioned before, the topic of the day is an update on, or what you had said as Medicare Basics. So basic information for our seniors with regards to what Medicare is all about. And the program that you're part of provides a particular role for the community, since Medicare and Medicaid and all of the various kinds of insurance products that are out there, quite confusing for everybody.
Indeed.
So let's start out by maybe some brief explanation with regards to what is the Sage Plus program, and where are you located?
The Sage Plus program is a volunteer-based program, and it is located in the Department of Health's Executive Office on Aging, and physically it's located on the corner of Alakea and Richard Street, closer to the state capitol. And as a volunteer program, it is also a 100% federally funded program, and it is administered by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. And it's called nationally the Hawai'i SHIP program. SHIP stands for State Health Insurance Assistance Program. And we, the Sage Plus counselors help Medicare beneficiaries navigate the maze of the Medicare system, and we help them compare Medicare health plans and drug plans, and we show them the difference between the different plans that are out there so they can make an educated choice or decision.
Anytime people have any questions, they can simply call you.
They can call us, and they have to remember we're an unbiased program. We don't sell insurance. We're not an insurance company, but we provide help to help them understand the different plans that are there that would work best for their needs.
You mentioned that it's a volunteer program. Can you explain what that means?
It means that we currently we're a 100% federally funded grant, and we only have 2 staff individuals, the director and myself. So most of our volunteers are certified counselors because they go through a rigorous training program in order to be able to sit with Medicare beneficiaries and help them through the maze of the Medicare information.
Is this only for Oahu, or?
We are statewide. We serve the entire state in 4 counties. We're in Honolulu, Hawaii, Maui, and Kauai. And Maui serves Molokai and Lanai.
Okay, great. So what is Medicare? And if somebody needs help figuring out what to do about Medicare, where do they go and what do they do?
Medicare is a federal health program. And again, I said it was administered by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. And every state has a program, a SHIP program, that either it operates differently in each state, and ours just happens to be called Sage Plus. And we actually work with our Medicare beneficiaries and help them understand the program, help them with their problems that they have, that they're running into. And they can either come to our office where we have face-to-face counseling, or they call our message hotline, and they can leave a message and we'll call them back and help them through their problems.
But with regards to Medicare itself, we have, for example, a picture of a Medicare card. Maybe you could explain some things about that.
Medicare, I said again, is a federal health insurance program, and it's a red, white, and blue card, and it's available to individuals who are 65 years or older, and for those that are younger than 65 with certain disabilities, It's also available with those that have Lou Gehrig's disease or ALS, and it's available to all those of any age with end-stage renal disease.
Okay.
Okay. So most people know it is the program that when you turn 65, most people qualify for
Well, we
Medicare
hope they
insurance.
would, but the confusion today is the fact that at one time, Medicare and Social Security, the ability to collect your full Social Security were at the same age. Now that has
Right.
changed.
Uh-huh.
So you're still eligible for your Medicare at 65 years of age.
Okay.
And you will get a card in the mail if you're already collecting Social Security. Or if you're not, then you would need to call with Social Security to sign up for Medicare.
I see. So regardless of when your Social Security starts, the Medicare starts at 65.
That's correct.
Okay, that's an important
And
thing
some
for people to
don't
know.
realize that
Yeah.
because of the system previous to now.
I see. Maybe we can you can share with us a little bit about some of the benefits of Medicare.
Okay, Medicare has 4 parts, and they're usually identified by the letters A, B. Sometimes some people have C, and then D, D as in
Yes,
David.
We put up one of these
Okay.
slides, so maybe you can explain that. yeah?
Okay, Part A is hospital insurance, and it provides benefits for hospitalization, for limited skilled care nursing, for home health care, and hospice care, and blood. And that's all under Part A. And if you notice, Part B says medical insurance, and it covers like physician services, clinical lab services, durable medical equipment, ambulance services, outpatient services, and preventative services. And that's all under Part B. And Part C are known as Medicare Advantage plans. Now, Medicare Advantage plans are plans, they're insurance companies that contract with Medicare to provide all the benefits of A and B of Medicare. And they also offer some extra benefits. Now, the difference is the co-pays and the co-insurances for each of the different plans are different. And that's where the difference comes in. And
Some examples of Part C in Hawaii?
well, we have a couple big companies that provide advantage plans, and among them is Aloha Care, Humana, United Healthcare, HMSA, Ohana Value, or Ohana, and they have a couple plans. And each of those companies have a couple plans under their umbrella.
Okay.
Oh, there's quite a lot then.
Okay. And then you had a
Part D, as in David, is your
Okay.
prescription drug plan.
Okay.
And with your prescription drug plan, when you become eligible for Medicare, then they are, since 2006, Congress introduced the help with prescription drugs. So the Part D became available and is provided by Medicare, and so individuals now have the health and the medical and help with their prescription drugs through the government program.
I see.
So with the Medicare medication coverage, which is the Part D,
Yes.
that's really the newest part.
Yes.
And from what you just said, it covers prescription medications. But I also understand that there's a gap. Can you talk
Indeed.
to us about what the gap is? It's kind of a complicated program.
It's a little bit because the government only had so much money to put into the pot to assist Medicare beneficiaries.
Okay.
So Medicare made a decision to say we'll cover prescription drugs up to a certain limit, the out-of-pocket limit for individuals. And every year that limit is evaluated and it changes, or can change, let's put it that way. And when you're in that period where where the prescription drug plans can no longer help you with your prescription drugs, you're responsible for 100% of the cost of those drugs. However, with the Affordable Care Act that was enacted recently, beginning this year, actually beginning last year, your prescription drugs, when you're in the coverage gap, was 50% less. And your for the brand names. And then for the generics, it was a 7% less. And then next year, there'll be another percentage that will be determined.
We have a slide here that perhaps you might want to explain on this gap issue. Can you
Surely.
touch-
So most of our prescription drug plans averages about $30, and that we'll look at a little later. But also many have a deductible. And that $320 on the slide refers to
On the right-hand side.
on the right-hand side refers to the first $320 normally the beneficiary is responsible for before the plan starts covering
Okay.
the prescription drugs. So that figure is for next year, for 2012. It was 310 this year. And then between there and 2009, $2,930 out-of-pocket costs,
After you've spent that much money.
after you have spent that much money and your plan has spent, together you and your plan have spent that money.
Okay.
And you're in your coverage gap between there and $6,657.50. And that's called the coverage gap, and that the beneficiaries are technically responsible for 100% of the drugs at that
So
point.
there's no coverage at that point.
No coverage except with the Affordable Care Act, they're getting some help. With 50%, they're paying half price now instead of 100% for a drug that costs $100. It's costing $50 now.
So the
Okay.
gap is shrinking.
The gap is shrinking, and we hope, according to the Affordable Care Act, unless it's repealed, by 2020 the gap should disappear.
I see.
Every year they're increasing the percentage of help for the generic and for the brand name drugs.
Wow. So I guess this to me is a really good example of why your services exist, because it really is complicated
It is.
and it's changing all the time. And so if people have questions, which they probably would, then they can call your office
Indeed.
and find out what the latest is and have that all explained to them again so
Right.
that they can really understand it. Okay.
Many don't understand why at one point they're paying such an exorbitant price when they were not paying that previously. So then we
Right.
help walk them through that understanding. And we also have recommendations for some prescription drug discounts, and we can refer them to companies. We have a particular companies with drugs if they have a limited income. Many of the companies that provide discounts is based on eligibility because of income, limited income.
So you're able to provide this counseling type service throughout the state, and you have counselors associated with the Sage Plus program on every island,
Yes, we do.
and they
We
can, so people can meet with them face to face.
So normally people call into our message line. And then we have our counselors in there. Actually, they can work from home. So we're looking for volunteers all the time. They can work from home. They pick up the calls from our message line, and then we channel them by email to the neighbor islands if they're on neighbor island call, or the counselor on Oahu, if they're Oahu calls, return the calls and do the counseling over the phone. Now, if a beneficiary needs a little more and they prefer to do a face-to-face, then they just call and we make an appointment and we see them in our office majorly 3 days a week, because we do service neighbor islands, so we're not totally in the office 5 days a week necessarily.
And all of this is free.
This is free, unbiased service provided by the federal grant that we have. So we are under the umbrella of the Department of Health Executive Office on Aging, but the funding is from the federal government.
How many volunteers do you
We have about 60, and they're in various capacities. Not all the volunteers need to do one-to-one counseling if they're not comfortable, but we're at many health fairs. We are training volunteers to do presentations to groups. We have office help that's needed, so we have some that also work, and then they still want to help, so they come in and help with a little bit with the office work. And we've had some interns also from time to time, so that's very helpful.
Okay. Okay. Well, for those of you who are just tuning in right now, this is the Kupuna Connections television program, and we are doing a Medicare update, right? And Medicare Basics.
Basics.
Medicare Basics, that's right, with Brenda Lau from the Sage Plus program. So my next question, Brenda, is can Medicare health and drug plans be changed as people's needs change, let's say?
Well, there are two reasons why they can be changed. Mainly because people's health needs change, that would be one. And also, Medicare plans come and leave the Medicare contract. So it's very, very important that Medicare beneficiaries watch the mailings they get. So they will always be notified in writing and a number of times. So they must pay attention to their mailings, especially in the fall of the year, because this is when the plans tend to give all their information to Medicare, and Medicare publicizes the information for their beneficiaries. And so there is a period of time where a beneficiary can change their plan once a year, and that's usually in the fall. And the dates for 2012, which we know right now, will be from October 15th to December 7th, but you do it of 2011, and then it will be effective January 1 of 2012.
Now, why would anybody want to change their plan?
Well, someone might be saying that they did the minimum coverage initially, and right now my health coverage has changed and I need a little more, and so we help them see what plans that might offer them a little bit more assistance with their needs.
If you were to stay with the same health plan, is it possible to say, I need more?
You would have to
Midstream?
check. You would have to. Now, midstream, you can need more, but you can't change midstream. There is only one period of time where there's an annual enrollment when you can make the change.
Yes, I
and that's really crucial that they pay attention to that time, or they can lose their plan and not have any coverage by January 1, 2012. Yeah.
Well, since we're kind of talking about changing the plans, I'd like to go back to that Medicare Part D, because one of the
Sure.
things I've heard about is that this is one of the parts that you have to decide if you want to pay for it, right?
Yes.
And there's some consequences if you don't take it at the
Yes.
beginning, is that right?
Yes, if you don't sign up for Part D, as in David, at the time you're eligible, there will be a 1% penalty for every month that you delayed in signing up after your eligibility period, which is about 7 months. 3 months before your Medicare is effective, the month of your Medicare effected, and 3 months after. So you have that period of time to get both your B and your D at that time, or there are penalties if you don't.
Now, if you
I
don't,
see.
if you decide to forego that drug plan under Part D, there's no penalty. Only if you join late is what you're saying. Is that right?
Yes, if you never join, yes,
Then there's
yes,
no
that's correct. Because it does say it's not mandatory.
It's not mandatory.
It's not mandatory. And some individuals at this point in time take no medications. However, that doesn't mean when they're 20 years older or 15 years older that they might need that, and that if they do in that time choose to sign up for the Part D, they'll be incurring a penalty.
Do you have any idea as far as how much more that Part D costs? I mean, there's variations between, Plan A and Plan B and Plan C.
If you're getting a separate prescription drug plan, they can vary from the lowest right now, I think, is $14.80 a month.
$14.80.
$14.80 a month, and there's another one that goes up to like $84.
I see. Okay.
And then that's just a separate Part D by itself. Now there are Advantage plans. Now the Advantage plans that have Medicare drugs with it, many of them have various pricing, but there's a number of them that have 0 premium for the health and 0 premium for the drug, and no deductible. So that depending on a person's situation, they may want to look at that, provided they feel that when they look at the health part, it's going to be enough of what they want and coverage for what they want.
But for the Advantage plans, usually is it just Part A and B combined, or is it usually, as you say, Part A, B, and D combined?
It's then going to be A, B, C, and D if it's an Advantage plan. They will have A, they will have B managed by the prescription drug company, by the insurance company, and their D would be managed by the same company, and then
It's
they
awesome.
have a C plan.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that usually includes the medications then?
Yes.
Is what you're saying?
Yes, most of the Advantage
Most-
plans
most.
now have a drug plan
Drug
with it.
built in.
Yeah, now there's a couple of plans where you're paying a premium for the drug and a premium for the help, and there's some that you don't. And that's all in the Medicare and You book each year that people will get in the mail, or it can be downloaded from the Medicare.gov website, or if they really need a copy, then we have copies in our office. Limited copies, but we have copies in our office that we can make available to people.
Oh, there are lots of choices and lots of things that you need
Indeed.
to consider when
Indeed.
you're
Yes.
making those decisions, I guess. What is a Medicare savings program?
The Medicare Savings Program is a program that's administered by the Department of Human Services, State of Hawaii. And that program is a program if a person is income eligible, low income eligible, it will help them pay for their Part B as in boy.
Oh, I see.
So currently, Part B is usually taken out of people's Social Security, and that the state will pick up if they are financially eligible to be eligible for that program. But it's administered by our Department of Human Services. However, we can counsel people about it, and we do have applications, and we help them if they need help filling the applications out. But then it goes to the Department of Human Services.
Okay.
So it's as though the Medicaid program is paying for the Medicare?
It is
Part
the
of the
MedQuest department, eligibility department, yes. They have monies also from the federal government and from the state, yes,
I see.
to
Okay.
pay for that program.
Here's another one. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so for that program, there are both income and asset
Yes.
tests that
Yes.
you have to meet to be
Yes.
eligible.
And now that department regulates that each year.
Right. Okay.
Okay. What about what is sometimes referred to as Medigap policies?
Yes.
What is that?
Someone will get a Medigap policy if they would like to have something covered the co-pays. Meaning when they go to the doctors, there's a copay and they don't wish or can't afford to cover it. Now, Medigap policies can only work with original Medicare. You can't have an Advantage plan and a Medigap policy. You just have to have regular Medicare. Traditional original Medicare is how we refer to it. And you can get a Medigap policy. Medigap policies, there are about 11 this year, and they're labeled A, B, C, D, F, F, G, H, and so on. And they will cover your health co-pays, co-insurance and co-pays, but not prescription drugs. So it's only for the health co-pays. And there's a difference between A and B and C and D depending what kind of coverage you want, what things you want covered. And it's sold by individual insurance companies. And the same plan can vary from company to company in cost. And the individual needs to contact the companies personally to talk about it and based on their needs.
Okay.
That's a Medigap policy.
So if our viewers need more information about Medicare and help understanding all this sort of complicated information, who do they call? And I think we have a slide for
Okay,
that,
initially
too.
they would call the Sage Plus program, and often they are referred to our program by Social Security because many go down to Social Security initially for information on their status. And there is a toll-free number. That's 1-888-875-9229, and there is an Oahu number. It's 586-7299.
Can you say that again?
586-7299.
Okay.
And usually our Oahu beneficiaries call that number.
Well, I hope that maybe our viewers had a chance to get a piece of paper and pencil to write down
That
those
number.
up there, and even that website.
It's important that you look at that website too. It's www.hawaiiship.org. And that's a Sage Plus website.
Okay, so that's important maybe for seniors and maybe their adult children who are helping their parents to navigate this whole process. And your number and remember Brenda's face here, so you can be sure to get in touch with her in case there's any question. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions.
Yes.
Every situation is a little bit different,
Indeed.
perhaps. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So this is all very good. Now, let's say if we were to ask you, Brenda, we're coming to the very end right here. So if we had to ask you for one last tip or one last takeaway for our viewers, what would you recommend?
Very, very critical that they watch their mailings as we get into the fall for change in plans, because they have that one opportunity. If one of their plans are being dropped, they need to get a new plan, and they really need to pay attention to the mailings because they'll be notified. And that's their opportunity, usually in October, to begin the change. And we're always looking for volunteers, so call our number and volunteer to help.
Okay, and to remember your number.
And 586-7299 or
Okay.
1-888-875-9229.
Okay, well, that was 3 takeaways, but they were all very, very important. So thank you so much, Brenda, for joining us today. Again, this is the Kupuna Connections television series. I'm Cullen Hayashida, and with me is Brenda Lau and my co-host, Tony Hathaway. Thank you again, and aloha.